There we go. Oh, okay. Yeah, we on deck. Just make sure that we talk after the meeting and make sure I order something. Make sure I order something today, DL. I gotta make sure I order something. Uh, okay, so the scope of this demonstration, most of everybody on here was on here last week when the elder brother, what's his name? I was talking about the sex magic and he elaborated on Osiris Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was on here and he mentioned the seven churches of Asia. So that invoked my thoughts to go into that in a little more detail. Before I start my demonstration, I want to lay a foundation. And you can also use this for our people that are familiar with the Bible. Most of our people, you can relate these Bible, because this is in the Bible, this is Revelations. What we're about to be dealing with right now is Revelations. So most commercially, the seven churches of Asia, it's going to have a breakdown of as if there were churches in Asia. But now each one kind of represents a certain aspect. So let's read one. Ephesus, known for having labored hard and not fainted and separating themselves from the wicked, admonished for having forsaken its love. Let's read a couple more. Smyrna, admired for its tribulation and poverty, but for which it is foretold that it will suffer persecution. Let's read another church of Asia, located where Satan sits, needs to repent of allowing false teachers. Let's read the theme for another church in Asia. What's this talking about? Known for its charity, whose later works are greater than the former, tolerates the teachings of false prophets or false prophetess. They're talking about false doctrine. Let's read another church of Asia. What is this expressing here? Being dead, a caution to fortify itself and return to God through repentance. Another church of Asia represents being steadfast, keeping the word. So what does all this mean? So when we look at this stuff of the seven churches of Asia, Sadiq L, everybody in the chat who said Islam, Islam, everybody. Seven churches of Asia, right? So let's go in a little more in depth with the seven churches of Asia. We will go in depth. I don't want to lay the foundation because what I'm about to go into is going to go into that in more in depth. I just wanted to reference and compare and contrast. Oh yeah, there we go. Yes, sir. So we're still in a perfect matrimony. The first couple chapters we've been dealing with sex magic and how to regenerate the Christ, how to take that land of milk and honey substance and use it to turn yourself into a super saiyan, for lack of better words, right? Have clairvoyance, have um, thought process that's genius, upper mobility, motivated. All the ideas you got, you just know you can make them happen. You feeling good, you optimistic, right? To get to this level, one of the prerequisites is what they call sex magic or transmutation, alchemy. One of the forms of alchemy, transmutation. Two, have manifestation, transmutation for manifestation. Tazimaji Islam. All right, so now that we laid the foundation, let's continue in this book called Perfect Matrimony for people that may not be familiar with this. So, Jesus, the beloved, attained the Venistic initiation, the root word being Venus. Before we move on, let's marinate on this. Venus, Jesus the beloved attained the Venus initiation. What are we dealing with here? What type of initiation is a Venus initiation? Okay, so let's go to the 101s, back to the basics. Remember, we're just sharpening our tools so we can have things readily available as analogies for the people. And I'm just sharing one. So what is a Venistic initiation? For one, what is our star? What's the Moorish star? What is, I ain't gonna say the Moorish star. Look, the Moorish flag has a star in it representing Venus. Yahshua or Jesus in a book written by an author is talking about Yahshua had a Venus initiation. What does Venus represent? Oh, let's go to the 101s. What kind of flag is the Moorish? It is a red flag, five-pointed star, five-pointed green star in the center. What do the 5 points represent? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. How old is our flag? 10,000 years old. Before Christ, before Yahshua. And we know Yahshua and Christ is two different concepts, but when we're talking to the people, I like to use common sense just to have them evoke thought. So I'll emphasize before Christ with emphasis because I know Yahshua or Jesus is their guide in a different way, in a spooky way. So I like to bring people down to earth with different examples. So Friday is the holy day. What is Friday corresponding with? Let's go to the 7 days of the week. Let's go to Sunday, dealing with the sun. Let's go to Monday, dealing with the moon. Let's go to Tuesday, dealing with Mars. Let's go to Wednesday, dealing with Mercury. Let's go to Thursday, dealing with Jupiter. Up the holy day. What's the holy day? Up Friday. What are we dealing with? Venus. All right. So Yahshua had a Venus initiation. If you didn't know, Venus is dealing with the heart chakra. Venus is dealing with the love vibration. So essentially, Yahshua mastered his lower self. He's past the root chakra, past the solar plex or sacral chakra, and he's graduated to the heart chakra or the Venus degree. So he's a humanitarian now. He loves his brother. He loves his people so much that he wants to let them know that they need to snap out of their silly ways and get back to the unification, get back to the ways of your ancestors, get back to having pride, get back to being active, humanitarian, community building, mind stated people. That's the Venus degree. See all the information in that one sentence that we didn't even finish the paragraph yet. Right. So Jesus the beloved attained the Venus initiation in the Jordan. At the moment of baptism, the Christ entered the adorable Jesus through the pineal gland. The Word was made flesh and lived among us. And we beheld his glory as the only begotten Son of the Father, full of grace and truth. Now we're about to get into the This is all tied in. Don't forget about the seven churches of Asia. It's about to tie in. But let's continue reading. Quote, to the one who knows the word gives power. No one has uttered it. No one will utter it except the one who has incarnated it, manifesting. In the Apocalypse, the saint of Revelation describes to us the Son of Man, the son of our kisses, with the following. Now we're getting into revelations in the Bible. Now we're getting into revelations that verse that is talking about the seven churches of Asia, or we say the seven eyes of Allah. I was in the spirit on the Lord's day and heard behind me a great voice, the word, as a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha Omega, the first and the last. And wilt thou cease writing a book and send it into the seven churches, which are in Asia, unto, and we did go through like three of them, so y'all should be familiar with these. I literally went through this, but coming from the King James version, we're gonna dissect it. So it unto the seven churches of Asia, which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, dealing with the Cogio-magnetic center, and unto Smyrna, the prosthetic magnetic center, and into Pergamos, the solar plexus located in the region of the navel, and unto Thyatira, the magnetic center of the heart, and into Sardis, the magnetic center of the creative larynx, and into Philadelphia, the eye of wisdom, clairvoyant, centered located between the eyebrows, and unto Laodicea, the crown of the saints, dealing with the magnetic center of the pineal gland. So when you, I guess, superimpose just looking at the Bible, what they're saying, and then you correlate that to, oh, they're talking about the body or the chakra centers in the body, the seven churches of Asia. As a matter of fact, you can go to the etymology dictionary or any that Etymon online search engine. You type in church. In its original inception, it meant circle, right? Chakra, and what a chakra is circular energy wheels within you. These are circles. So church means circle. So they are. It's just most people.
Are you recording?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, just making sure. Sorry.
yeah. So church means circle. The etymology definition of church means circle. So we're dealing with the seven chakra wheels in the body. And if you notice, each church, even in the analogy or the parable that we read in the beginning, they still broke it down on like what each church symbolized. And when you compare it with what we're learning right now, you're going to see it's a characteristic that has to be overcome. That has to be overcome. And all that means is you have to graduate from the root. You got to graduate from the sacral, graduate up to the heart, gravitate, into the pineal gland, pop, crown chakra, right? That's an ascension process that only takes place through mastery of self. I mean, you can skip by taking, you know, I guess, hallucinogens or whatever, but in the natural state, you have to graduate. Um, and I turned to see the voice that spoke with me. And being turned, I saw seven golden candlesticks. So here's another analogy in the seven candlesticks, seven church of Asia. These aren't just arbitrary things. These are symbolic. So we need to know the symbology. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, the white linen tunic of every master, the tunic of glory. The seven candlesticks the saint of Revelation saw are the seven churches of the spinal cord. His head and his hairs were like white, were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire, always immaculate and pure, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. The human waters are the semen. And he had in his right hand seven stars, seven angels who govern the seven churches of the spinal cord. And out of his mouth went a sharp two-edged sword, symbolic for just the word. And his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, Fear not, I am the first and the last. I am he that lives and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And I have the keys of hell and of death. So we just read Revelations chapter 1, verse 10 through 18. But of course, we read it in a different lens. We did a more intensive Bible study. So we see the metaphysical, not even metaphysical, the body. We're dealing with the aspects of your body, your energy, the centers in your body, and things you have to do to graduate and ascend. So this type of intensive Bible study is what we need to, how we need to talk to the people. There's nothing wrong with the Bible. It's not the white man's book, quote unquote. That's how most of our people look at it. All holy books have truth in it. We just want to, extract the truth out of these books for the people, because they going to church, they having a good time. They saying a couple lines out the book, or the preacher. They're listening to the preacher say a couple lines out the book. So we want to, show them that we know their book. This movement is a, national, divine, cultural, community expansion type movement. So we don't want to run people away thinking that it's a religion. So we want to let them know that we're familiar with the book and we're pro the Bible. We just want to explain the Bible in a way that they may not have saw before, and the Quran for that matter. And as a study more, we should be able to go through any holy books and express what's really been taught, being expressed, how it's supposed to be, from the correct lens. Okay, I'll stop. I'm gonna transition from that demonstration. Any thoughts on that? Right, transition.
Yeah,
Move forward.
I got a question, Marv.
Okay.
Could you explain in your capacity what the Son of Man mean? Because my conception of the Son of Man is like some type of creation that man made. Could you elaborate on the term Son of Man? What does that really mean?
Okay. So for example, last week I think in this book they talked about the Son of Man being your thoughts. So a thought could be considered a son of man because it's a seed. Once that seed manifests, right, the Son of Man, you gave birth to it. And then they even went in depth to say the sons of man and the daughters of man, meaning logical thoughts versus I guess intuitive based. You're moving passionately based on intuition versus moving passionate on it need to make sense. They even went so far as to distinguish the thought, like but regardless, we know man is just that covers man and woman. But this author chose to, go in depth, and I feel where you're coming from. But the bottom line is, a thought that has potential to manifest and ultimately does manifest is the Son of Man.
So we can correctively say that it is a creation of man.
Creation of man. Yep, exactly. Creation of man. There's all
So
types of creation, right? Because that's
correct. So when the scriptures speak of the coming of the Son of Man, what is the scripture really trying to tell us?
that is just a thought, and you haven't manifested it yet. It ain't came yet. Until that thought come into something that you can touch and is verifiable, you can take a picture of it. You made that happen. You manifested that.
So
It's in the works.
so basically it means as far as like um a person coming into their knowledge and spreading the word amongst the masses, and it'll have like a real strong following. Is that what that mean, or is it something else?
No, it's more on like I always say, I'm going to work out tomorrow. That's the coming of the Son of Man. Why? Because I haven't worked out yet. Why is that important? Because if I haven't worked out yet, there's nothing for you to see me do. There's nothing manifested. But once I do work out, and oh, I could take a picture of him lifting weights. It's documented. I got a time, date this occurred, right? So that's manifestation. Oh, I want to go build a house.
Of the people.
And I build the
So the
house.
coming of the Son of Man. So the coming of the Son of Man is the manifestation of the Moors, the manifestation of our people, the Most High's chosen people. Am I right?
It could be looked at
I
it
like
like
to
that.
add,
Oh, go ahead.
when you
Yeah.
hear man, think of mind, because man is mind. So son of man is son of mind, and mind goes back to mother. So the first thing that was created in the womb was the head. So that goes back to our fed. So man is mind. So we are the son of minds, who are the son of mother, but we're manifested mind or manifested thought.
Hmm.
So with the son of manifested thought, which is the son of our mother. So when you think man, think mind, but mind goes back to mother because it's just the dark abyss outside. When the sun go down, everything dark. So we come from a dark place. So darkness equals creativity. So like when brother was saying about working out, he had to think, which is like inside of his head, which is darkness. Then he had to go operate. So the son of man, the son of the mother of brother, Mafi, sorry, I'm like out of breath like that, but long story short, the son of man is the son of mind. So sons are the son of man or the son of mother, you know? So that's from my perspective when I hear that. So to always think metaphysically. When you hear man, think mind. That's why the brother was saying manifested thought. So we're the sons of manifested thought or the sons of mother's thought. Because it all goes back to mother and the mind of mother, which is important. So the mind of mother can create quote unquote bad son or a quote unquote good son, depending on her teaching. You know what I mean? Or how we brought up in our house.
Islam. So the Son of Man is not one individual; it's a
No.
collective. Okay,
Yeah.
Islam. Thank y'all. Thank you, Sheikh. I
Oh,
yield the
Islam.
floor.
Yeah, for sure.
Can everybody see the screen? The etymology dictionary definition of man. When you take it to its earliest conception, it just means to think. Man is mind. Just to elaborate on what the brother is saying, man is one who has intelligence and uses his mind to think. Because when you're thinking, you have ideas. You have to manifest. Um, Let me check the chat. Somebody said something in the chat. Right. Yeah, the universe is mine, right? We're the micro or the macro. And while I'm at it, let me just look up church because I brought up church means circle. So let's take church to its early in conception to the old languages. We got out here. Oh yeah. So, circle. Oh, okay, circle. Correct. So correct, which translates to circle. Interesting. I'll explain it a little better than that, but I know Kirko goes to circle in English, but it was one definition I just flat out said circle. But anyway, um, any thoughts before I transition to the next phase of my demonstration? So we're dealing with the 12 power. I mean, yeah, 12 powers of man. We're actually on chapter 6 now. We've been running through this over the couple weeks, flying through it. We almost done with it. Now we're dealing with power, dominion, and mastery. Once again, dealing with I, self, law, and master. We're in the business of mastery. Why is that important? Why is the M pillar in mastery important? Why is that important? Why is that important? Mastery. So man does not exercise the power of his spiritual nature because he lacks understanding of his character and of his relation to the originating mind. The brother just said man is mind. So man don't understand his power that he has because he don't realize what he's here to do or she is here to do. To use your mind, be creative. We done lost our way. We ain't got our power no more. Relation to the originating mind in which he exists. From divine mind, man inherits power over the forces of his mind. In truth, power over all ideas. A quickening from on high must precede man's realization of his innate control of thought and feeling. The baptism of the Holy Spirit is a quickening of the spiritual nature, which is reflected in intellect and in body. When he understands the science of being, one is prepared to receive the baptism and to utilize it along deeper lines of thought. Jesus had taught his apostles and followers, and they were prepared for the baptism that they received on the day of the Pentecost. And once you know, we already know the background. When you're talking to the people, they're not getting dunked in water. They just got the truth and they washed away the falsehood that they were previously taught. They were baptized. All right. Ye shall receive power when the Holy Spirit is come upon you. Power is essential to the work that Jesus Christ expects his followers to do in the great field of humanity. The command is, go to every nation and preach the gospel. What Yahshua say? Go to the hedges and the highways with this information. That equates. That equates to what Yahshua was saying. Man should apply the power of the word to his individual redemption, and he should speak the redeeming word of spirit to the multitudes, the multitudinous thought people of his own soul and body. Among the apostles of Jesus, Philip, one of the apostles of Jesus, Philip, what's Philip represent? The power faculty of the mind. What book are we reading? The 12 powers of man. So we're taking the analogy of the 12 tribes of Israel, right? 12 tribes or nations of Jacob, and equating it to the 12 powers or the 12 glands in the body. All right, so Philip represents the faculty of the mind. The word Philip means a lover of horses. In physical activity, the horse represents power, its ox, strength. Each of the 12 fundamental faculties of man has an ego that reflects in a measure the original man idea, thoughts, the coming of the Son of God, original man idea in God. In the body, consciousness, the 12 apostles as egos have 12 centers or thrones from which they exercise their power. They will express, the will expresses its dominion from the head. So your willpower, being headstrong, that's why Aries represents the head, is fiery, headstrong. Willpower, typically you're going to need to have these characteristics to will something. That means you know, you believe in it, you buy into it, you stubborn about it, you know it's the truth, and you go, that is you have will. So that's a trait of having fire. I just wanted to kind of elaborate on that. So the will expresses dominion from the head, love from the breast, and power, the ego whose character we are analyzing in this writing, from the throat. So power from the throat. So, and we know that's just what? That's Aries. The throat is Taurus. The heart is the lower Leo. So, just to further analyze that. So power is one branch of the great tree. In Genesis, it is named life. The body of the life tree is the spinal cord, over which the motor system, which branches to every part of the organism, exercises its nervous energy. The power center in the throat controls all the vibratory energies of the organism. So your throat, that's why you can meditate and hum and make vibration. You can do chants, because when you hum, you're going to have a vibration within. So the throat controls all vibration energy in the organism. It is the open door between the formless and the formed worlds of vibration. So that's once again, you can think something, that's one thing, but once you say what you're thinking, you put a vibration out there, and now somebody outside of you knows what you were thinking internally, because the throat chakra is the gateway between the unseen and the seen. Speaking is, now you're speaking your thoughts. So that's a form of manifestation. That's one form of manifestation. When Jesus said, "The words that I have spoken unto you are spirit and are life," he meant that through the spoken word, he conveyed an inner spiritual quickening quality that would enter the mind of the recipient and awaken the inactive spirit of life, the inactive spirit and life. When the voice has united with the life of the soul, it takes on a sweetness and a depth that one feels and remembers. The voice lacks this union, is metallic and superficial. Voice culture may give one tone brilliancy, but every great singer has the soul contact. But higher and deeper still is the voice of one who has made union with the Spirit and who can say with Jesus, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. Right? That's why you making music, you put your words into writing or writing, books. These things are documented. You can your physical form can transition. The things that you left behind verbally, things that you wrote down will live for forever, depending on how it impacts the people, right? So are you really gone? If the things you left behind are still touching people, did you really die? I'm just putting a question out there. That's all I'm doing. When we understand this power of the word, we have the key to the perpetuity of sacred writings. According to tradition, all the writings of the Bible were destroyed, but they were restored by Idris, who remembered in his heart and rewrote them. Modern discoveries in the realm of mind and a measure explain this mystical statement. We know that every word that man utters makes an imprint in the astral ethers, and that when there is consciousness of God, life, in the mind of the speaker, all his words become living identities and are perpetuated. Anyone who develops sufficient spiritual power may enter this book of life within the cosmic mind and read out of its pages. The mind and the body of man have the power of transforming energy from one plane of consciousness to another. This is the power and dominion implanted in man from the beginning. That's a Genesis quote, power and dominion, right? Over yourself and of the earth. Master your thoughts and your emotions and your impulses. I, self, law, am master. According to scripture, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and they shall have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the heaven, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth from the earth. That's Genesis 1:26. Yeah, I'm gonna read this in transition now. Okay. So Paul corroborates this statement by calling attention to the glory of man's inheritance. Vast estate, inheritance, having the eyes of your heart enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling, with the riches of the glory of his inheritance and the saints, and what the exceeding greatness of his power to use word who believe according to that work of the strength of his might, which he wrought in Christ, when he raised him from the dead and made him to sit at the right hand in the heavenly places, far above all rule and authority and power and dominion, and every name that is named, not only in this world, but also in which is to come. Kingdom, yeah, I'm gonna read this sentence so we can transition. This is a good exclamation point. In the kingdom of God within man's conscious, in the kingdom of God within man's consciousness, the power faculty plays an important part in the controlling the expression of emotions, inspirations, and thoughts. right? So this would be a good way to where place to stop this section because the whole theme is the Son of Man. That was what was brought on the table by the brother, and I feel like this whole demonstration is covering that space. What the Son of Man is, thoughts that need to come to fruition. We need to manifest. But we also need to be disciplined and understand our consciousness, things we need to work on. You know, it don't stop. But we're constantly evolving. So back to the temple, back to the body politic, back to having the thirst for spreading this information for expansion purposes. It creates an environment where you're around like-minded people for one. So we're just trying to sharpen the tools, on all levels. Once again, I'm gonna have something queued up. I'm glad the brother is gonna come with something next week. That's what it's about. And when we say sharpening our tools, whoever got gray areas on stuff, whether it's history, law, it's like I say, I might have something queued up, but it's your duty to put out there whatever gray area that you have, so we can uh, attack it. So you don't have no gray area no more. Uh, Outside of that, we just trying to, we brothers and sisters. We want to have a rapport, and we want to eventually start doing some business collectively. I know Larry Bay, we finna start a venture. So I was happy to hear that we was able to do that. Matter of fact, me, Nana, and Larry Bay, we gonna do something in the future. But that's what it's about. Just you know, oh yeah, we gotta talk too, Larry Bay. Yeah, you didn't come yesterday, but yeah, we gonna chop it up on that. I'm glad my mind took me there. See, that's divine too.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Any questions for our transition to the next segment of the demonstration? Any type of thoughts? See, I had a couple things queued up because we passed out a lot of info yesterday, and you never knew it was gonna pop up. So I always like to have basic stuff queued up. But this particular audience right here, oh, Brother Brian, peace and love. I didn't even see you in here, man.
It was on iPhone. Peace and love, Brian.
That was iPhone? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So this is actually the end of African presence in early Asia. So I want to highlight some things. Well, I have highlighted some things. I've already highlighted. Take that back. They're marked up right here. So the title shaman was derived from a Proto-Turkish word for magician, priest, sorcerer, which was Cam. Evidence demonstrates that Cam meant the land of magic or sorcery. Cam, the ancient designation for Egypt, is the root word for alchemy and chemistry. These are terms that Professor John G. Jackson defines as applied magic. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So this is like the fourth week we've been in this book. So just to, rekindle what this book is talking about is our people in ancient Asia, what we were doing. So wherever we hear shaman, well, most people might know as a person to help you with herbs and dosages on taking herbs and things like that. Um, but also mind state, coaching you on what type of mind state that you should be in when you're taking these herbs. But what I'm highlighting is the fact that a shaman was synonymous for magician, priest, and sorcerer. So back to the high priest of Anu, which is the Moor. So Moors were shaman. We had the information to be shaman. We were capable of being shaman. We had the mental capacity or competency to be a shaman. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go to the shaman. Most Moors were shaman, right? So I guess what I'm saying is know that that's the culture. Is to know what type of herbs you need for your specific composition. All right. And know that's what we did. We were the people that brought medicine to society. Moors created the concept of medicine. So when I speak to the people, I like to talk to them in that context. Also, notice how this author is saying it's a Turkish word. Remember, Turkey did not exist prior to the 50s. There was nothing called Turkey. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because this is what this the most comments I get about Turks and things like that. They assume, not most, every blue moon, a person from Turkey right now, somebody that's from Turkey, quote unquote Middle Eastern person, doesn't know better who the ancient quote unquote Turks are. They'll steal that and act like that's them when Turkey wasn't even in existence. So once again, when we're saying Turks, we're saying that is a nickname given to our people from foreigners that observed our culture. Some of our pharaohs had the turkey dripped over them as part of their garb. The Turks, right? Nickname. Um, but and once again, most places in the Middle East are named after ancient concepts or throw off purposes. All right, so we were into alchemy, which is called magic. But in the previous books we just read, we see we're just talking about transmutation, the fact that making your thoughts come true is the alchemy that is talked about. That's the magic that's talked about, the manifestation. That's magical. To the foreigner observing our culture, it was magical, right? This disciplined people today in this society, knowledgeable people today in this society are looked at as magical. Mind blown when you're speaking to them. What? Like, right? So we the magi today. What are some of the other characteristics of our people BC time in Asia? A ritualistic communication with the spirits of the unseen world. Son over there, you over there grooving. So a snake, serpent, or dragon mythology. The snake is not found in, nor is it indigenous to North Asia. So this author, Ivan Van Sertima, is letting you know that snakes, the symbolism of snakes is all through the temples, but those type of snakes aren't in North Asia. That shows you once again, symbolic to the Kundalini ascension. It was all in the architecture of the temples, the Mortal Kombat style backdrops, right? All the architectures in Mortal Kombat with architecture. What was another characteristic? Venus figurines or statues connected with matriarchy. So when we saying Venus in our, in our flag, or Venus representing the love chakra, it's not just because Moors are saying it. This is well known. The ancient culture of people, Venus was well known being connected with matriarchy. Right? We need to know this. Look, you're talking about Afghanistan now. Look on the left. The picture on the left. If you was in Afghanistan, not in the BC time, this, second century. That's what you're dealing with right here. You're gonna see a warrior, a Moorish Moabitist empress in Afghanistan. So who the original people from Afghanistan? Right. And before, why is this important? Let's see why it's important to know why. Because no matter how pale skinned they are, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna show you why it's important to be able to talk to somebody from Afghanistan today and be able to connect the dots. Because you never know. You never know. They might be what Noble Joe Ali said right now, a foreign sympathizer. Based on the information that you know and that you shared with somebody from Afghanistan, showing them that, oh yeah, the Moors is indigenous to your ancestors are Moors. You show somebody from Afghanistan today that information, he might become a foreign sympathizer. What does that mean? Oh, he's just a community of Afghanistan people over here, and they got it very wealthy, and they want to donate to the cause. They want to help with infrastructure. They want to spread awareness to mess with this organization because I like where their mind is at. I like their approach. I like what they're trying to do, how they trying to unite. Right? Now you got a foreign sympathizer. We need all the help we can get. And that's called strategy. But you can only implement strategy when you have competence. Or even how to talk to the people in the first place. Right? Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that?
Taking a lot of notes.
That's what's up, man. Hopefully everybody taking notes, man.
Taking a lot of notes.
Yes.
You got something? Any, Sadiq L, any thoughts, statements, questions from anybody?
Oh no, I'm just taking notes as well.
Okay, it's long. Okay, so ancient Syria, same thing. The ancient Syrians were referred to as the Mari. That's funny because we was talking to a brother from Hindustan yesterday at the event, and he was from Hindustan. He was like, "Oh yeah," he seen the turban and fezzes. He was like, "Oh yeah, I know about the Mari. I know about the Mauryan dynasty. Yeah." Everybody ain't sleep, man. They just happy to see that we are awoken and we trying to unite the people based on actual factual events. It was
So wait,
actual.
you
Go ahead,
sorry
Brian.
about that. You
No, go
said
ahead, bro.
that one of the Hindustani people recognized the Mauryan dynasty based on your garb.
Yeah, Urban Affairs.
That's pretty
Yep.
cool. Because that's like legitimizing. I like that. That's cool.
And you never see that's why it's the whole active, not passive, or being yourself and your guard, because you're gonna learn this. We're learning this stuff. We're learning our culture through literary works or master teachers. But once actual people from these places confirm, it take you to a whole nother orbit. You know what I mean? And like I say, most people that know culture, they typically got areas where they straight: Chinatown, Koreatown, Little Bangladesh, etc. So they have a lot of economics, and sometimes that's what it take. Back to what Noble Joe Ali said with the foreign sympathizers, they may be ready to back us economically, help us accelerate our plans. Right? We get a physical temple. We want land, housing. We want to, get industry on a high level, take the industriousness to a higher level, where we're self-sustaining just based on we merchants. Everybody is a merchant, but the possibilities is endless, right? So, um, a lot of levels to this. We want to keep our head on a swivel and our hearts pure, and we are going to be okay. Um, Let me see if we got any questions in the chat here. Let's see. Um, yeah, so the brother said, "Oh yeah, I know about the Morai." So the Morai are also in Syria. The time period of the Mori or the Morai, I like to say Mori, Mauryan dynasty. That's what the brother was talking about. So we're talking about the BC time, 2400 BC to 1350 BC. Now, Morai, this author Ivan Van Sertima is saying it sounds suspiciously similar to Tom Moray, the Moray, right? An Egyptian goddess, was regarded as one of the outposts of the old Sumerian culture. So of course we know, but Tamaray, old name for Egypt, Ta Terra, Tamaray is saying the land of the Moors. Terra means land, right? So we're just pretty much cross-referencing what most of us already know. Anywhere in the Middle East, when you say Sumerian gods, they off top gonna know what you're talking about. Anybody saying they Persian today, um, from Iran, Afghanistan, Jordan, they call it Israel or Palestine. These are the ancestors, more than that area. Or Mesopotamia, that's another one. Say Mesopotamia, they gonna stop. They'll start listening to whatever you gotta say, because that's their ancestors. So remnants of the Black Guard still in power at the time commanded trade routes to Egypt, controlled the timber, and Ammonus in Lebanon, right? So we control Lebanon too. Any people you know from Lebanon? Matter of fact, we was in a Lebanese restaurant yesterday after the event. They got fezzes all in their establishment because that's considered ancient royalty to them. The Fez, the ancestors in Lebanon, right? Portraits from the royal palace of King Zimri depict Black warriors and royalty that, while obviously Africanoid, were culturally aligned to Mesopotamia. There is later mention of Black Syrians in contrast to white types. So you can any friends y'all got that's whatever, some type of what they call Middle Eastern. let them know how their ancestors is Moorish. Might have a foreign sympathizer. The earliest inhabitants of Palestine came from Egypt. Once again, they came from Tamaray, so they came from the land of the Moors. When we see Egypt like this, anytime, and it's a repetition, anytime they're saying Egypt in the context of BC time or anything before 1950 for that matter, if they're implying Egypt, they're implying Tamaray. And if they're implying Tamaray, they're implying the land of the Moors. And it's documented. It's Ivan Van Sertima, but this ain't even the Moorish. Well, we know he Moorish, but he don't identify as being a Moor. He identifies as being a black guy. But he's still a PhD, and he's letting it be known with unbiased research that Egypt is Tamaray. So we can show people, we can cross-reference with books like this. Look at these visuals. 1786 BC, that's what you're going to see. Right? Sumerian. So in Palestine, so if he was in Palestine 1350, what's going on over here?
BC.
BC time, 1350 BC time in Palestine.
BC.
Excuse me, does that man have cornrows?
Yeah, man, he got cornrow.
On the
But
right.
I think it's really like the little Bantu knots. But regardless, we know it's us, right? It's definitely us.
Especially the man on the left. He look like me.
Yeah. Right now, who is this statue though symbolizing it? The goddess Astarte or Isis. And what is Astarte or Eastern Star? What does that represent? Venus. So we're dealing with the ancient civilizations of the world dealt with Venus culture. Jesus, I don't know if you tapped in yet, but we're talking about Yahshua, how he had the Venus initiation. So I'm just tying all this in. Our flag representing Venus.
What's this image up here?
I just wanted to say the one on the left looks like the Whittemore party when they made their wigs.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
When you look at the old pictures of like George Washington and them, that's what it looked like. They were kind of creating it from that picture.
On the top.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one that the brother Brian was talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he said they got cornrows.
What was the time? What was the label on it underneath? What was the same?
Jewish captives from Palestine.
In 660 BC.
Yeah, matter of fact, since you brought up I'm gonna bring that picture up, matter of fact, of a Whittemore guy. So, but although the inhabitants are mixed up, thus the most accredited reports in regard to the people of Jerusalem represents the ancestors of the Judeans, as they are called Egyptians. So we talking about Palestine and Israel and all that type of stuff. It's really a smokescreen because most people that don't know this information, they don't know like that's not Israel. They don't. So we just need to come in and let people know, like, look, man, we the original everything. Of course, you don't want to be that vague, but we want to have tools under our belt just to go into, like I say, any nationality people in your face, you want to be able to lead them to the water. But now we're dealing with Russia, southern Russia. What was you seeing in southern Russia in 300 BC time? I seen her on Crenshaw. That's right. I seen somebody look like her on Western, Vermont somewhere. Right. So it was worldwide. Who's the original Russians? All right, the Moors.
I think Russia. I haven't done an investigation into Russian history, but most of the Russians that I come across, they look at us with more respect than, well, I would say people who are unknowing of their history and origin. Um, they look at some black people, quote unquote, with more respect than they look at themselves. I'm pretty sure they have unbroken reference to our ancient origins as well. I've
Yeah.
noticed that cultures that have like a respect towards us still, even though in our fallen state, have an unbroken reference to one of our dynasties.
Mhm. Yeah. Hmm. And yeah, most people we talked to, man, I think it was like over 1,000 people at the event yesterday, and I talked to personally maybe about a little under 70 people, this of some capacity. And most people knew about the Moors just being in Spain or from North, quote unquote, North Africa. Um, but the fact that America is where the Moors originated first civilizations and then spread the culture, that is what was eye opening. So you know, to basically expound on what you're saying, it's not a secret. Like it's not like, people don't know about the Moors like like that. Like it's just it needs to be talked about. We need to be out and about, and then it's gonna become more of a normal thing. Like, oh, I know about the Moors. I ran across a Moor at the Angel Stadium, and he gave me all this knowledge. I was like, you know, once that's a normal thing, it becomes a normal thing. we make it normal. You know what I'm saying? Just by being ourselves. You know.
Facts.
Uh,
Facts.
Yeah. Hey, Ma.
yeah. Oh, Islam. Love everybody.
Yeah. Islam. Yeah. I just wanted to add on in regards to the term Arab and the term Hebrew. Now, we all know Hebrew is the language, but in etymology, Hebrew means crossing. Why? Because our people commonly crossed from East Africa into Northwest Africa when the Atlantic Ocean was nothing more than a mere river. So it's not an identity, it's actually a verb, an action that we consistently did by crossing over into Northwest Africa. Now, Arab in etymology means wanderer of desert. So if you see Northern Africa, that area is all desert terrain. But the Moors, the Berbers, the Muslims, we routinely navigated ourselves around Northern Africa, Egypt, and those areas. Thus, the term Arab. And Arab, once again, means wanderer of desert. I just wanted to throw that in here because people associate themselves as an identity being Hebrew and also Arab. But I just wanted to throw that in there as well. I yield.
Oh, Islam. Islam. Um, so this is kind of going. I like that this part of this chapter, dealing with the Huns. The Huns were the Moors that were in ancient Asia, and they were dark complexion. The ethnic beginning of this nation, now it was interchangeable too. The Huns or the Khans. So Kun or Hun, which meant dog, is the origin of the Mongolian royal title Khan, or great dog. So when we think of Khan, Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan, we're talking about the Huns, which were a dark complexion people that created clans and gave the title to their heads, Khan. Dependent in other areas where the Moors created empires or other aspects of the empire in different areas of the planet, I should say, we had sultans at the head of our political body politics. Khan, Sultan, Amir, Sharif, Khalif, Khalifa. So I'm just tying in. When you hear Khan, that's just a head of a Moorish body politic. When you hear Sultan, that's just a head of a Moorish body politic. So the Khan, Khanites, Sultanate, Caliphates, just more structure, governmental structure. So here's a picture of one of the Khans, and you see what we're dealing with here. Also, the Khans are also referred to the Black Tartars, which you're dealing with the Tartarian civilization. So Barbar or Barbary and Tartary, two sides of the empire. Just wanted to add that in there as well.
I have a question.
Okay.
You said Barbary and Tartary. Does that have to do with like Asian Minor, Asian Major, like where that's split up?
So Barbary will be what they say West Africa, so the Americas to what they call West Africa today. That would be Barbary. Once you start drifting into Russia, Hindustan, Pakistan, the more Moro people, the Naga, Manchuria, you're dealing with Tartary, Tartarian side of our empire, where our heads are referred to as Khans in some parts of the Tartary side. But when you go a little south, like the Cambodian, Filipino sultans, they had sultans, emperors and stuff like that.
So the Tartars were in Asia Minor, right? On that side?
Yeah. Minor,
Yeah.
Asia Minor. Yep.
And then the Barbars were in Asia
Major. That's a good way to. I like that. Mhm. So back to the dragon again. We keep finding the dragon and serpent in the culture. So the dragon or serpent played an important role in early Chinese mythology and was prominent in the art of the Shang dynasty. And we know it's fully called the Fu Shang dynasty based on previous lessons in the temple. We know the Olmecs traveled nomadically to China or Manchuria and set up the Fu Shang dynasty. But let's highlight the fact that if common person that we're talking to, we shedding light on, okay, the Moors was the Chinese in BC time. All the temple structures or the Moorish architecture in the area has serpents, dragons, and I always like to reference Mortal Kombat. The backdrop is, that's what you're looking at. Who else is dealing with that? Because we know the dragon represent ascension, the serpent represent ascension or kundalini, etc. So who is dealing with that type of philosophy? That's Moorish culture, right? So, the Moorish culture was spread from the Americas all the way east. And we tend to share this information with the people. So Chinese annals refer to dark kings, and the Shang call themselves the dark-haired people. So this is actually a Mongolian horseman, and we established in the last week or a week before that Mongolian just means dark-skinned person. So when we talk about the Mongols and all this type of stuff, we're just talking about the Moors. I was in that area, and there was a lot of infighting. Khan, our people that had the Khan title in the Tartary, they wanted to take over. They wanted to expand their empires, like Genghis and Kublai. So they would be beefing with their own people just to inherit the strength, because if you win the war, now you got all the soldiers, all the personnel becomes one thing now, one big conglomerate, but under the rules and regulations of how the Khan want to set it up. So they came to the Americas. Khan and the crew came to the Americas in like the 1400s. down through the Bering Straits. Like so, from you used to can come before it was an ice bridge that melted, so it's not a bridge like that. But basically, Alaska and China was connected, so you can come through China down through Alaska down to Washington, Oregon, or whatever. And they came down and went to war with some of the Barbary powers I was in the Americas. And he actually lost. Him and his crew lost. So he left behind with him some of the Mongolian Slavs that he had with him to help fight. They got stuck here in the tent. So, and later on, what happened is they start promoting them as the original people of America. So when people think of the Indians or Native Americans, they're thinking of the Mongolian Slavs, which were like Mongolian mulattoes, basically, right? That's who they pump as being Native Americans. So if you don't got that type of look, you're not original to America. But people just don't know they got brought here to assist one of the Khans to attempt to take, expand his territory to over here, and it just didn't work. Um, so he went back. Him and most of his people went back, but the Mongolian Slavs got stuck here, and we allowed them to be in tents and teepees, while the Moors and the Barbary states and the Americas had the Taj Mahal style buildings, the stuff that they attempt to blow up and call Area 51. Chicago and Arizona, the Grand Canyon, that was like a lot of it was looking real grand over there. So that's a lot of the stuff they keep secret. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. Let's continue here. See, that's that Tartary fez that Asir be wearing. It look like one of the birthday hats. Let's see. Where we got? So Chinese people refer to the black skinned people of the Kanlan. It's this right here. Among prehistoric and proto-historic populations of Japan were Africoid types. Anthropomorphically describes of Oshima. The Oshima who appear to be the ancestors of the early Anu. And we already covered what Anu is. So now we got the Anu in Japan. So there's Moors in Japan. Whenever we hear Anu, right? We already covered this a couple weeks ago. Whenever you see Anu, that's a high priest, right, of Anu that you're dealing with the Moor. So we got Moors in Japan, right? In BC time. With the Tartary fezzes though, right? And remember, I don't know if y'all remember, but in this book they talk about how it was black dwarfs. It was black dwarfs running through China. And the concept of the Smurfs come from that. These little people with these they even had these little things on their hat right here. They had the Tartary fezzes on actually. So I just found that interesting. And they also described our people in that area as Aoshima in Japan. And I thought about that bomb that was dropped. They call it Hiroshima or Hiroshima. What was it called?
Yeah, I think it was a Harrison.
Yeah. So I'm like, wow, they named that event after the they codes. They put the truth right in our face because that means that that was an ancient Moors. I was in Japan, and they called that bombing event, Hiroshima. The U.S. bombed Japan. I think they called it something Hiroshima, but yeah, I found that connection crazy. I'm like, that's crazy. Um, so this is another ruler from the Shang Dynasty in 1400s.
I have a question.
Mhm.
They, can we look based upon like our phenotype to discover what type of tribe we belong to?
That'll be
Basically what I'm saying is, do certain tribes have certain characteristics, or physical or spiritual?
Well, I wanted to add on that. I wanted to add in there that we wasn't referenced as tribes. We actually had nations. The whole tribe ideology came from, the colonization of our lands. They the ones who placed those terms on us, and actually downgraded us from nations to tribes, which a tribe in international law doesn't have any standing as a nation. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that we always reference ourselves as tribes, but a tribe is not a nation. I yield.
Well, let me ask more specifically. Like your kin group, like your closest like 5 closest relatives, you guys will share like characteristics, whether it's like phenotypes, like your nose or your eyebrows, or even skin complexion. I'm assuming some of those traits, because our history and our culture is of shamanism. I'm assuming that some bloodlines probably have some traits or some characteristics. My question is, based on my phenotype, would I be able to find characteristics that match up with a particular group of our people?
Yeah, I mean, that's just an observation. Like, for example, Haile Selassie, he looked like Nipsey.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I'm at. Yeah.
So we know Haile Selassie was from Abyssinia, which is called, most people call it Ethiopia, and Eritrea is right next door. So it would make sense that, oh, Nipsey, his brother, his mom, they're Eritrean. It would make sense why they look like Haile Selassie, because they're both from the same region. Right. So stuff like that is just natural observation sometimes, but you can also take your mother's side of the family back for, a couple, 3, 4 generations and see what territory were your family in at that time.
Okay.
Now you can see what tribe you belong to, stuff like that.
And go from there, and be able to go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. There you go.
Yeah, that's why. So look at this. Remember that dwarf I was telling you about? Black dwarf from China, from the Tang Dynasty. This ain't BC time. It's the 6th century now. It's not that far back. So we got the Tartary fez on, and he got that's what the Smurfs look like. So the concept of the Smurfs comes from Moorish dwarfs in the 6th century in the Tang Dynasty. On the right, we got a Moy woman, a feminine, the feminine Moorish woman in Vietnam, right? So we're dealing with Moors in Vietnam, which we already covered in a couple weeks ago. These are some interesting statues here. A woman from Kampa in the 600s. So it's a plethora of monuments. Like, they're not talking about this in school, obviously, but it's not a secret at the same time, And as you can see what's on their neck, we've been wearing, necklaces and jewelry, and that's what we did. We wore a lot of metals. We wore a lot of gold, silver for purpose, though. These are metals in the periodic table that can help your life, attraction, help you with not getting sick. So nothing's new under the sun. And I think, that's what I had queued up with this aspect. So we just want to have a lot of stuff just to share with the people to show the common bond, because pretty much every Filipino person I talk to, once I talk about the King Philip and that's why they Filipino, it's a smooth conversation. It's like, okay, this brother, knows what he's talking about. A lot of people aren't coming at it like that. So the more we know, the more we can communicate, and grow the brotherhood and sisterhood, build the society, grow the society. And now we got more people to invest with, brainstorm with, get polished with, you know. Any thoughts, statements on that?
Um, uh, uh, just just to add on, I would just say that like how you're talking about in Asia, how there's a dark skin influence. Uh, there's a place called where Polynesia is at, the islands. Close to it is called a place called Melanesia, where people of New Guinea, Papua New Guinea, um, where they settled, and they settled in 50,000 BCE. And some of those people, when you just look at the picture, they look like us. Simple as that. So yeah, the Asian influence of dark skin peoples, Moorish descent is definitely active in that region still.
Mhm. Yeah, man. Uh, so I'm gonna transition to where we left off in the Silent Brotherhood of the East. We're on chapter 10 now, dealing with the meeting of the seven sages to make law for the coming age for the nations of the earth. Now, when the sages were refreshed, they opened up the book of life and read. So now let's get into this verse. They read story of the life of man, of all his struggles, losses, and gains. And in the light of past events and deeds, they saw what would be best for him in coming years. They knew the kind of law and precept suited to his estate. They saw the highest Allah ideal that the race could comprehend. Upon the seven postulates, these sages were to formulate the law of life of the coming age that souls may rest. Now, Mengenst was the oldest sage. He took the chair of chief and said, man is not far enough advanced to live by faith. He cannot comprehend the things his eyes see not. He yet is child, and during all the coming age must be taught by pictures, symbols, rites, and forms. His God must be a human God. He cannot see Allah by faith, and he cannot rule himself. The king must rule, the man must serve. The age that follows this will be the age of man, the age of faith. In that blessed age, the human race will see without the aid of carnal eyes, will hear the soundless sound, will know the spirit of Allah. The age we enter is the preparation age, and all the schools must be designed in a simple way that man may comprehend, and man cannot originate. He builds by patterns that he can see. So in this council, we must carve out patterns for the coming age. And we must formulate the gnosis or the knowledge of the empire of the soul, which rests on seven. Each sage in turn shall form a postulate, and these shall be the basis of the creeds of men until the perfect age shall come. Then Menix wrote the first. All things are thought. Back to that thought, Son of Man. All things are thoughts. All life is thought activity. The multitude of beings are but phases of the one great thought made manifest. Lo Allah is thought, and thought is Allah. Then Vinyapiti wrote the second postulate. Eternal thought is one. In essence, it is two, intelligence and force. And when they breathe, a child is born. This child is love. And thus the triune Allah stands forth, whom men call Father, Mother, and Son. This triune Allah is one, but like the one of light is essence, he is seven. And when the triune Allah breathes forth, lo, seven spirits stand before his face. These are creative attributes. Man called them lesser gods, and in their image they made man. And Casper wrote the third. Man was the thought of Allah, formed in the image of the Sepnet, clothed in the substance of soul, and his desires were strong. He sought to manifest on every plane of life, and for himself he made a body of the ethers of earthy forms, and so he descended to the earth plane, right? The carnal form, the grossest form. In this descent, he lost his birthright, lost his harmony with Allah, made discordant all the notes of life. Inharmony and evil are the same, so evil is the handwork of man. Ashbena wrote the fourth. Seeds do not germinate in light. They do not grow until they find the soil and hide themselves away from light. Man has evolved a seed of everlasting life, but in the ethers of the triune Allah, the light was far too great for seeds to grow. And so man sought the soil of carnal life. And in the darksomeness of earth, he found a place where he could germinate and grow. The seed has taken root and grown full well. The tree of life is rising from the soil of earthly things, and under natural law is reaching up to the perfect form. There are no supernatural acts of Allah to life, a man from carnal life to spirit, blessedness. He grows as grows the plant, and in due time is perfected. The quality of soul that makes it possible for man to rise, the spirit life is purity. So purity in the heart, you will naturally ascend, have good dealings with people. And all the literary work that we read today, I feel like is in harmony with the common theme, manifesting, um, ascending, unfolding. Any thoughts on this chapter 10, the Solemn Brotherhood of the East?
I would just say the Seponate means seven, right?
Mm.
And the seven being like, are they referencing the archangels as planets and planes, as in planes, as in platforms, as in levels to manifestation? So that would be like thought being slowed down and condensed into an actual form creates humans and all material things.
Yeah. Um, it's kind of like in the Light of Egypt. I'm not sure if when you read that book a while ago, but once we become that grossest form, that means we descended, and now our job is to ascend, to tap into the Elohim, tap in with those divine messages and do divine things, even though we're having a carnal experience. We can
So
let
the
the light.
game, oh, my bad, sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
So the game, like where we play and act is here, where we're supposed to act is here, but where we're supposed to hear and see is from the higher planes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, well said. Yep. That was a great summary. Any other thoughts, statements, questions before we close out here?
Peace. So notice a lot of the statues, the noses are missing on them. Is there a reason why? All over like the ancient, from all over like global. A lot of the noses are missing from the statues. I've noticed that.
Oh yeah, whenever you see a nose missing, they're trying to throw you off that that's pretty much your ancestor. Because the broad nose represent what they call the African or quote unquote black person. So if you know that's you, then that's gonna be like, I thought I was a slave. I thought this, I was taught this, but really I was like a royalty over here, and it
Mm.
it conflicts with how they trying to brainwash you. Brainwashing don't work if they got all these statues and all these ancient cultures of people that look just like you. This stuff don't make
Unless you
sense now.
remove the nose. Unless
You
you
remove the
remove the
nose,
nose and wow, okay.
yeah, that ain't you now. That wasn't it. It wasn't-
Yeah, I think they believe that was like the phenotype, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, the
The
phenotype.
phenotype. And so they would try to cover everything up because yeah, like they wouldn't be able to brainwash you and take control if you knew like where you came from. Yeah, the history.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Islam.
Yep. Oh, CJ, you been in here the whole time? How long you been in here, man? I want to know how much you digested in today, man. I'm curious to see when you tapped in. Hopefully it was informative today, man.
My bad. I didn't get the link until a little bit later. I'm at the gym tapping in with y'all right now.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'll send you the recording.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, any other thoughts for we before we close out here? All right, so we can close out in prayer. Allah, Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day. It was Holy Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Amen. Peace and love to everybody. And I'm gonna
Right.
stop. I'm gonna stop the recording. But I know I don't know